Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm all in. Uh,
And then I'm also doing a community call for ACB. I'm talking about AI. So,
okay.
um, okay. So we're live, folks.
Why is Zoom? Okay, hold on. Sorry, I'm still
Why is my
working this
microphone
out.
level low? I'm trying to.
You might want to disable
Okay,
the waiting room too, since you're the
I'm
host now.
disabling it because I'm gonna do that.
I tried to do that in
It's
the
okay. Host
Safari
tools.
permanently, and it did not let me, and I do not know why. I have to troubleshoot that.
By the way, in the future, if it's possible to come around 9:45 so I can get ready, that'd
Oh,
be
yes,
amazing.
absolutely, I can. I'll make that happen for you.
That'd be great because that way I'm not
Sure.
rushed.
No, you're good. I'll do that for you. No
All
problem.
right, waiting room's been disabled permanently. Well, not permanently, but
Well, today, and I will go back around yet again and try
it says
to
there's nobody else
permanently.
in the waiting room. Nobody else
Yeah,
just came. Where's
which
everybody?
is, we should have some people that trickle in right around 10, but we will
Where's
give it a
Michael?
couple.
Let me see where Michael is.
Hold on. I don't know who's bothering me at this point. I've already made another cup and we're already live, so you can't just come in here at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, we are currently live.
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
So,
okay, it's fine. My mom was just asking if I need more coffee. I'm like, no, I mean, she didn't know we were live, you know.
all right.
All right. Yeah, I'm very excited about being a member of All Access. And for those who are
Oh, we
watching,
got a whole bunch of people coming in.
there we go. Um, for those of you who are watching live on YouTube, you should do the All Access thing from Techopolis. Do it. I
Taylor Art
did.
YouTube is the promo code
Do it.
for
I
the
did. And also, I want. Okay, so since we're live, I'm just gonna go ahead, if you don't mind, and like introduce who I am and say a couple of things.
yeah. Just start the introductions. Let's go.
Yeah, perfect. So my name is Laurel Wheeler, and I'm with the Laurel Wheeler Foundation, and we co-host. We can just call it that because we do. We co-host this with Taylor and Techopolis. Um, you can spell my name Laurelwheeler. Most people don't know that, and they ask. So you can follow our foundation all over X and Instagram and Facebook. It's Laurel Wheeler Foundation. If you search for it, you'll find it. We also have a website, laurelwheelerfoundation.org, and you can contact us should you want to at laurelwheelerfoundation@gmail.com. Um, if you're watching this and you actually want to register for the uh, for this Zoom session and join us on the Zoom side, you can. I only have a few spots left before we hit our 100-person limit, which is exciting. Not everybody comes to every session, but we have that many that are registered, which is great. We have 94 registered, so thank you to all of you who have. And finally, I just want to throw this out there for people that are outside of the United States and want to join the Techopolis All Access memberships, which I'm sure Taylor will talk about here in just a moment. If you cannot afford the registration fee, even with the coupon, um, you can reach out to Techopolis or us at the Laura Wheeler Foundation. At,
Preferably you guys.
okay, perfect. Reach out
Yeah,
to
because really
me.
nothing I can do.
No, you're good. Reach out to me at laurelwheelerfoundation@gmail.com. That's LAURELWHEELER, the word foundation, @gmail.com, and let us know, and we will be happy to help scholarship you a Techopolis All Access membership so that you can access their other courses and products, things like that. So if you want to talk about what an all access membership is, Taylor, just know that if you're outside the United States and you can't even afford with the coupon to sign up, we will help you.
Okay. So for those who don't know, Techopolis All Access is our courses platform. And with that, you can get access to all of our courses. We've got different courses in many different domains. So coding and yeah, mainly coding right now. You can learn Swift. So Michael's got a great course on Swift UI and it's taught from a blindness perspective. We also have practical Python and we're doing a Mac terminal course. So those are some of the courses and of course practical Python. In the future, we're going to be doing a course on starting with Python. So you'll learn the basics of Python. I should be putting that up for pre-order. I was going to do it yesterday and then I had stomach problems, so it was not fun. But I'm going to probably put that up pre-order tomorrow because today I have a lot of meetings. Um, and that way, you guys can sign up for it. And if you're an all access member, you get access to all of our courses and other courses that we will be doing later in the future. So it's with our coupon, it will be $25 a year or $2.50 a month for
Perfect.
Taylor on YouTube.
Perfect. And like I said, if you live outside the United States and you have trouble financially affording that, let me know and our foundation will provide some help.
Yes.
All right. So we have some people that are in here and joining us today. I'm excited everyone's here. Hopefully more will trickle in. I know for some people it's some students in the United States it's spring break and anyway, I know it's some people are traveling, but nonetheless, we are streaming on Taylor's YouTube, so go check that out and let's go.
Okay, so today I thought I was gonna do data tables, and we're still gonna do that, but I'm not gonna go into as much detail because I didn't have time to prepare because I was sick yesterday. So we're gonna just do starting off the first hour with a help session, and then we might do something the second hour because we do have full 2 hours today, which is amazing. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about doing is just a help session because, like I said, I wanted to make sure I was prepared more. I might talk about tables later if it comes up, but I think we should just do a help session because that seemed very helpful.
It sure did. So, if as you're working through this free code camp stuff, if you are, hi Michael,
There's Michael. Let's
if
real
you
quick.
guys
Yeah.
are stuck somewhere, unmute yourself and ask a question, or let us know how you're doing, or any of that
And
good
Michael's
stuff.
here.
Hi, everybody.
And Michael, I never did see, for some stupid reason, I never saw your message in WhatsApp, so I will be responding. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry I missed it.
No
Oh,
problem.
gosh. I got it now, though. So let us know, guys, unmute yourselves and let us know how you're doing and where you are and what questions you have.
We're gonna start off with a help session, Michael, because I wanted to, unless you want to talk about something that I wasn't sure of.
No, no, that's fine.
Hopefully, I know it's always nerve-wracking to be the first person to unmute and talk, but
Hi everyone.
hello.
Hello, this is Janita Rupmal from Sri Lanka. It's been a while since I joined you guys after the couple of first sessions.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so excited to see you back. So how is it?
Uh,
How's it going for you? How's your coding journey going?
Free Code Camp has been a great resource so far. And so much so that rather than having to go to my laptop all the time, I downloaded the mobile app. I just want to check with everyone whether anyone has had any tips to work with the Free Code Camp mobile app in terms of its accessibility when it comes to doing different projects and challenges as opposed to the laptop. Have you tried that, or how is it?
Oh, that's a great question. I personally, I've tried it some, but I've been more of a laptop person. But what do
I
you
haven't tried
guys
it.
think? What are your experiences? Does
I've
I
anyone?
not
haven't
tried
tried.
it.
I haven't tried it, but one thing I'll mention with their mobile app, when I tried it many, many, many months ago, uh, they have some of their lessons there, but they don't have everything there. So you're going to get a better experience on their website, but I can also mention that the website does work on, like, say, if you have an iPad, you can use it with a keyboard or a Bluetooth keyboard with the iPhone, and just if it doesn't show it, make sure it shows the desktop view on the iPhone, and you can use the full website just as if you were on a laptop. So the mobile app will get you so far, and then for everything, I would use the website.
Yeah, I've done the website fully on my iPhone too. I don't know, I just prefer the desktop view. But I mean, I love it. I've used it on my mobile device, on my computer, but I'm an Apple user through and through. So, but yeah, I've noticed like my personal preference as well is to just like open up Safari or Chrome and go to the website on my phone and go with a Bluetooth keyboard and have at it. But I'm excited that they have a mobile app. I mean, hopefully that's going to get even more extensive, you know? I'm
Yeah,
excited.
thanks for the responses so far. And actually, I hadn't thought about using the browser to access their website because I thought maybe the mobile app is customized for mobile experience, so it may be easier. But sometimes, as many of you said, it has limited access. And also, along the same lines, I'm wondering whether someone here has tried using laptops with touchscreen to operate these websites, because sometimes I find tabbing around so frustrating and time consuming, especially when websites auto refresh. Sometimes, as opposed to that, touch screens can make things faster for us in certain instances. Any experience in that line when you code, especially?
So I will chime in here again. One thing with that touch, and I'm glad you bring this up because so many people underestimate the power of touchscreens. Um, Touchscreens are amazing for this. Uh, because you can explore by touch, and a lot of people learn to tab and shift tab and they don't learn spatially where things are, and there's a lot with coding in using a touch screen to figure out visually where your interface objects are on the screen. So the touchscreen offers the ability to figure out, okay, I did put that button in the middle of the screen because I found it with my finger, right? um,
Yeah.
I put that at the top left, and that's where it should be. And a lot of people don't think about those things whenever they're coding. I and this is kind of why with voiceover, I did not like it when they added voiceover actions because you didn't have to know where certain buttons are on iOS. And I think that there is definitely a place for touchscreens, and you can use those to um, really be beneficial with writing code. Uh, as far as auto refresh, you will have to do a lot of, exploring on auto refresh. The biggest thing I would learn though too is the find command, like Control F or whatever it is in different browsers, so that as things change on a page, you can look for it without having to tab or shift tab. That's one of the things that I've seen people do.
Audio settings.
That's
Filter. Join
awesome.
the meeting. Video content window.
All right, let's see. Somebody.
Yeah, sorry, that's me.
You're good, you're good.
No problem. Let's try to
Um,
keep that. Yeah.
so, what do you guys tend to use? Like, I tend to like to use voiceover. Um, and I even use like my iPhone, and like Michael was saying, I use my touch screen and a Bluetooth keyboard combination, but I think too it depends also on like what screen reader you're using, how comfortable it might be to use a touchscreen. I guess if you're using TalkBack on Android, or if you're using a laptop with a touchscreen with NVDA, maybe I could see there might be different comfort levels. But I also find using a touchscreen super good as far as, again, like orientation to the screen layout, seeing where things are on screen. I don't know, like I just find my sweet spot. If I'm not on my Mac, my sweet spot is pretty much almost always my iPhone. I don't have an iPad. I probably should, but I don't. With my Bluetooth keyboard, and oh man, that's my sweet spot. For the
Apologies if I
Go
am
ahead.
kind of
No, keep
dominating
going.
the conversation.
Keep going. Keep going. No, this is good. Keep
so
going.
So you spoke about using Mac when you code. So I have been using Mac for the last say 4 to 5 years. No, even longer. So even so, my experience with Mac is the voiceover functionality with coding, even Swift and even Xcode. Eventually, it's deteriorating and it becomes frustrating more and more. How has the experience been for you guys, those of you who code on Mac?
Taylor and Michael are probably expert comment on this, I would assume, right, guys?
Michael, do you want to comment? Because, like, he was talking about Swift. I think that's what I heard, right? I was trying to. Somebody was
Can
looking for the live stream link, so.
can you repeat the question? My apologies.
Oh, well, I was asking on Mac. As the years went by, I mean, in recent years, as opposed to the previous times, the
Mhm.
accessibility for programming on Swift and Xcode has been increasingly
Oh,
frustrating because of voiceover snapping about and all that. How has been your experience, and are there any workarounds that you have found useful?
so there's two aspects here. Which application did you use? Xcode or Swift Playgrounds?
I use both.
So Xcode is going to do better with voiceover. I taught a class last year um, on called Swift UI Basics, where we tried to use Swift Playgrounds, and it was not the best experience with voiceover on both platforms. Um, and we had about 30 plus students in that class. It was fantastic. I'm going to do it again this year. Um, And one of the things I'll mention two things. VoiceOver does have some focus issues in every application on the Mac. But what's happened is, and this is an amazing thing, what's happened is Apple platforms used to be based on what are called UI kit storyboards and interface builder files. And
Mm-hmm.
they have moved from these graphical ways of drag and drop to being completely written through code using Swift UI. And the reason why that's amazing is because now we're on a level playing field with our sighted peers. And you don't have to write that code in Xcode. So you could do all of your code writing in Visual Studio Code or another IDE, and even use Copilot, GitHub Copilot, to write your Swift UI code. So you could even have it write a lot of the graphical stuff for you. And believe me, with my latest app, Perspective Meetings, that is in the store, a lot of that was written with AI. Like I
Oh
wrote
yeah.
most of the original app, and then I'm like, hey, make this look better. And then once I made it look better, I said, okay, now let's make this more accessible for voiceover. And AI did it. And I mean, it's a uh, paired experience. You have to work with the AI has to work with you. But the fact that I was able to do a lot of this non-visually um, is really amazing, because in the past, on my older apps, I had to drag and drop. I had to do all these things, which for a low vision user is doable, but it's not easy. And so now it's all doable by anybody.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm super fired up that you used AI so heavily in that. Like, because, like, for me, I'm never going to be an expert coder, probably. I mean, maybe I will, I don't know, but probably not. So I heavily rely on AI, and it just stokes my coding dreams that, hey, eventually I could build something with, like, my knowledge paired with the help of AI, you know?
Hmm. Well, I always tell people never say never. When it comes to coding, you will be as good as you want to be with it. And uh, honestly, folks, the whole thing about coding is it's not about how many languages you can learn. It's not about how many libraries you know how to use. If the most important thing is, do you know how to solve a problem? Do you know how to say, I need to get from point A to point B? How do I do it? And so you kind of have to know the big picture. I want to build, like for me with this app. The problem was there are so many Zoom meetings that are recurring, and I want to store them. I want a place to put them. In my calendar is not a good place for me. I just want a place that I could easily just go and find all of the things that I want to join. And so that's what I created. That was a problem to be solved. And that's what you're going to do anytime you're building a web page, building an app, building a backend to something, building an API. That's all you're doing is solving a problem.
What's
It's
the
up to
app called?
you.
Because I need this.
It's called perspective meetings.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go get this after this is over. That's excellent.
Yeah, you can
And
just store
in
links.
Techopolis, there are Swift courses too.
Yep.
So, um,
That's the one I taught last year. Yep. Anybody can sign up.
and like I said earlier, if you're outside of the United States and you want to join a Techopolis All Access membership, and for some reason maybe it's harder to afford from outside the United States, reach out to me and I'll help you out. We'll take care of it. So, yeah,
I
Thanks
have
for that
a
offer.
absolutely.
Sorry,
Absolutely.
I cut someone in. Sorry.
Yeah, go
uh,
ahead. Whoever else is wanting to ask a question, go for it.
hey, this is Jackie,
Hey, Jackie.
and I
What's up?
apologize. I am getting over a head cold, so I sound a little weird.
You're doing fine. You sound all right. What's up?
Um, quick question. Like, you guys, I am still working my way through the very first, the legacy on Free Code Camp, the HTML
Mm-hmm.
workshops.
Yeah.
Um, and Techopolis sounds very interesting, but I kind of feel like if I'm going to join, I don't spend hours and hours doing this. I feel like this could become a full-time profession trying to get through the rest of Free Code Camp. Um, if you're just starting, my goal is to spend like an hour a day coding. Um, it's it is Techopolis geared more for people who already have that basic underpinning knowledge?
So we have several different courses. We have stuff, kind of a whole catalog. So we're working on a basics course in different languages. I'm gonna be starting a course that I was Taylor doesn't even know this, so I'm gonna be starting a programming fundamentals course here
Thanks,
pretty
Michael.
soon. And it's not even going to cover code. It's going to cover the fundamental concepts of coding without actually a line of code being written.
Like
That sounds
logic and things.
wonderful.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
we're going to cover what a variable is and what an if statement is without even writing a line of code, just so people can get the concepts down.
That's amazing. I'll be there.
Yeah,
I think
because
that's really important because even back in the day when I started coding somewhere in 2010 or so, the IDEs were not at all accessible even to write a console program. And we had this thing called pseudocode where
Hmm.
we sort of first figure out how the program should go down, and then only we get into you mean put the hash includes and everything in C++ or whatever language you use, and then only we get into the code, otherwise we will go nowhere. So I feel even in this era of AI, where AI can do the coding and I mean get their hands dirty for you, this concept knowledge is going
Hmm.
to be very very useful,
Right.
and really I commend you for starting that. And even I would like a refresher, so I might as well join your
Okay.
course.
So let me, if y'all don't mind, I would love to tell a story real quick.
Go
Um,
for it.
Go ahead.
when I was 9 years old, I had no interests. I didn't care about anything. I went to school because people told me to. I did things because people told me to. And I was in like every little kid, I was into space and robots and all the things, right? But just because of science fiction and that kind of stuff. I went to the space camp in Alabama. Um, and I met this friend. We became good friends after this. But I met this friend, and I had the keynote companion. Okay, where you could take notes and things like that from Humanware, and I just used it as a note taker to write notes about what I needed to write notes about. And he looked at it. He said, "I've never seen one of these before. Can I play with it?" And I said, "Sure." Well, he takes it and he says, Uh, okay, let me play around in here. He found out it had DOS, which I had no clue what DOS was. He said, "Yeah, let's see what's in the directory structure. What is that? What are all these things you're doing?" And he like, Does it have QBasic? Can you write code?" And of course, I didn't know what any of this stuff was. And he explains all this stuff to me, and he looks through it. He says, "No, it doesn't have all this on here, but yeah, you could do that with a regular computer." And I just was blown away by what was possible, because I didn't know that a regular person that didn't go to school for long periods of time could do anything. And what the part that's going to blow your mind is, I was 9, this kid was 7, and he knew how to code and write programs. And that started the addiction to tech for me. It was something that I caught when I was 9 and never have let go of, because it was like, well, if I could do that, what else can I do? What else can we learn? What else can we make this stuff do? And because of what's possible, that's what makes me get up every day and learn more about what this technology can do and how we can make it our own.
That's pretty cool, Michael. And I can completely understand that because as a 50-something-year-old woman, that was kind of my first exposure as well, like being in school in like eighth or ninth grade, using an old pet computer with a command prompt and changing the colors
Hmm.
on the screen and filling the screen with like your name and everything.
Right.
And then like my path forward, I still have a fair amount of usable vision,
Hmm.
and Voc Rehab sent me to an AutoCAD a drafting class. And so as I'm going through like all of these code camp things, I can't help but sit there. I'm like, this is slightly insane to be building all these things with when you could just draw lines and circles and make pretty things. Like, why are they driving themselves crazy with this? But I also understand that this is the very foundation, and I need to get through this before I can get to some of the higher level stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. And I mean, if you think about that CAD software where you could draw, just think about the code that goes into making that work.
I couldn't even imagine being able to look behind I don't know if there would be up like for any website, you could look at the code behind it. I don't know. I don't think you could do that in AutoCAD. I haven't touched that
You
in years, but
cannot. But there's open source software that does very similar things to what AutoCAD can do, and you can
Really?
find it on GitHub. Yes. Oh yes.
Okay, okay. What are we looking for? Because I'm interested in this. I didn't know.
Yep. So are y'all familiar with open source software?
We've touched on it, but um, it might be a good idea to like for those who maybe didn't hear a couple of weeks ago to just quickly define what that means.
So open source software is basically software that people write for the public domain so that others can benefit and create their own software or use it as a guide for what they're trying to do, or just so that there's free alternatives to paid solutions. For example, OpenOffice is a free open source version of what you could do with Microsoft Office. Um, think about eSpeak as a speech synthesizer is an open source version of it's very similar to Eloquence. It doesn't sound as good in my opinion, but uh, um, and that sounds like eSpeak. Um, but it's all available on GitHub, like and other similar open source websites where you could look at the source code and learn how these things are done. I mean, there's a whole operating system called Linux that's open source. And you could
Someday I want
go
to learn that. Oh my gosh.
and you could go and look at the source code to Linux and figure out how an operating system is made. Technically, Android is open source. Um, the Chrome OS on Chromebooks is open source. All of that's available in the public domain for us to look at and use.
It's really interesting too. Like honestly, like for me anyway, to go and look at the open source code behind things like eSpeak and other like blindness related software or apps or technology that we use, it's so interesting to do.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I had no idea there was an open source um, kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, like similar to AutoCAD. Like that's
Yep. CAD
so cool.
software. Hmm.
Yep,
And
There's
I
a
it's
just
there's a
threw it in the chat.
and it's accessible too. Like pardon my ignorance, but dang, seriously,
it
that's so
well, the
cool.
source is accessible, but the CAD software is not.
Yeah, but the
Because
source is, that's cool.
right, right.
We have a
And
3D printer, and I'm trying
go
to
ahead.
make models, and I send. So what I do right now, probably not the best thing. I send. So I have a CAD software with OpenSCAD online. It's called OpenSCAD Cloud. Not the best accessibility. Well, when I'm done making something, or at least I think it's right, I send it to Michael. He's like, "No, yes." Remember, Michael, one time I made a dice in
Yep.
OpenSCAD, had
And it's
ChatGPT help me.
neat. Yeah, we
Oh,
printed
that
it. It's
I'm
really
gonna play
cool.
with it. That's so cool. Oh my
And we
gosh.
have a 3D printer, and we have a lot of fun.
That's awesome. This
But
is
I'm
so
glad
cool.
Michael has low vision because man, and then sometimes the other day I was making something. I'm like, hey Michael, this is absolutely correct. I was using Google AI Studio, and
Oh
I'm like,
man.
this is correct. Michael's like, there's nothing on the dice. I'm like, "God dang it, AI, come on, get better."
Oh my gosh.
So
But that's
Yeah,
what's possible.
yeah,
And knowing what's possible is the first part of learning to code because you can see what you're able to do. Because a lot of people are like, well, what can I make? What can I do? Because if you don't know, you don't know. Um,
right.
you know, and as things change, it gets better and better for what we can do. Um, I mean, even Apple's Vision Pro, you can make accessible apps for the Vision Pro without having any vision, which is incredible to me.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
That's incredible. I I love it. But yeah, guys, so it's pretty incredible what all you can do with coding and what all's open source. And also, this is not even free code camp related, but since you touched on Linux, if I ever want to learn Linux, what's the best resource out there for a blind person to be doing it, in your opinion? Because I do.
Uh,
It's on my bucket list.
so uh, one of the best things to do is just because it's all command line.
Okay.
Um, So much of it is just learning the Linux command line, learning what a shell is, learning what
Sure.
um, uh, the different commands. Um, Eventually, when I get around to it, it's another thing I want to teach is how to use Linux and how to do
Oh,
things on the command line.
please do it, because I've heard a lot of blind people from around the world say that's a huge thing in demand. So please do
But
it.
believe it or not, the Mac. If you're using a Mac terminal, you're doing most of the same things that you do in Linux.
I'm gonna take your Mac terminal course because I want to get better even at that. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna do it.
and folks, the command line on any platform, Windows, Mac, Linux, is you're still using your computer. You could do everything on the command line that you could do in the graphical interface. It's just you're doing it through text.
Exactly. Exactly. So, what questions or thoughts does anyone else have on Free Code Camp or on anything we've been talking about? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions.
Michael, you spoke about using GitHub. Uh, I don't know. I haven't been working a lot on GitHub. I was just doing my own code most of the time, and other people are the ones who collaborate on that platform mostly. But I have heard of this concept called forking. When you want to work or play with something, you have to first fork the repository into your GitHub, and then only you play with it or change it, so that when you I mean when you have something to share with the overall community of that software, then you can uh, put it back in some way, because sometimes I don't know whether we have any version control or backup to fix if something goes wrong. But in case if someone would choose to play with the files and stuff in that actual repository, there may be certain issues, right? So it would be nice to give someone a heads up on that.
So I don't know that y'all realize how much fun I'm having with this because I get to talk to people learning to code and explain things. So, uh, because this, you just opened up another big talking point here. Uh,
Oh yeah.
GitHub is called GitHub because it's based on a thing called Git, Git. And Git is a source control, version control management system. GitHub and Git are not the same things, but they work on the same principles. So when somebody creates a project and they put it on GitHub, they create what's called a repository or a repo. When you want to work on code, you do like you said, you fork the code into your own version of the repo. Then you can make whatever changes you want, test them, and then you can do what's called a pull request, which will say, "Hey, I improved your code. Do you want to put my code back in your version of the software?" And they could say, "Yeah, that looks amazing. Let's do that." Or they could say, "No, that is not what we want." um, and so that's how GitHub works. It's a social platform for collaboration, but where you could also do whatever you want with the code, so you could learn or improve on what somebody else is doing. Because sometimes these projects are so big, they have a lot of different contributors, and so forking and doing all those things is how that works. Now, Git, which is what it's based off of. Git is something you run locally on your computer. It works the same way you have um, repositories where you store things, and it's basically a folder inside of your projects folder, a Git folder, and it holds all of the changes that you make in your code. And the nice thing about Git is you can say, yes, these changes look great. I'm going to save them. And say you make a change and you're like, oh, I need to go back to the last checkpoint. You can do that. So you can create checkpoints called commits. You give it a message, and there's actually a bot on Twitter of all of the terrible commit messages people put on GitHub. That is a thing. And so you can put a commit message and then push it up to GitHub, and you can keep a backup of your code, and you can revert to different points in time where your code, where you've made changes to your code. If you make a bug or an error and you say, I want to revert that. Git also lets you do branches. So I can create a branch for each feature I'm working on so that you have your stable version of your code, and then you can have a branch for each feature, and you can then merge those features back into your main code base. What also can happen though is two people working on the same code and they go to push it together and they say, hey, two people have made changes on line 20. That's called a merge conflict. And we love to hate those. So then you have to pick which one you want and go from there. But that's a little bit, a very, very top level crash course into Git and GitHub.
My favorite thing to look at and play with in GitHub is eSpeak. I'm just gonna say.
Really?
I enjoy helping tweak the different, or like making different variants better
Hmm.
in different languages I speak. So
Oh, that's
it
cool.
brings out the linguistic nerd in me. Okay,
Hmm.
dealing with morphemes and phoneme. Anyway, not to go down on too much of a huge rabbit trail, but yeah, love me some GitHub and eSpeak. And if you want to see a good example of like, in my opinion, and I don't know, maybe you'd have thoughts, but like if you just want to look at how GitHub like does something that's practical, I don't know. I thought when I was first kind of self-teaching myself these things, I thought looking at different things that people made for eSpeak was an interesting way to understand the structure of like how GitHub worked, you know?
Hmm.
And
And
libLouis
NVDA is
too.
on GitHub.
Yeah, NVDA too. You can look at all the NVDA stuff and like different add-ons or just, and obviously like, you know, the coding languages for that is more advanced than what you're doing in Free Code Camp. But if you want an idea of like how GitHub,
Okay.
yeah, handles that stuff, yeah. Anyway, go for it. Whoever has thoughts on.
Yeah, I don't have any thoughts. I just want to know how, like, I'm on lesson 11 and I'm trying to figure out where I'm supposed to put the see more and in gallery. Like, do I put it in the beginning or do I put it at the end?
Okay, let's work on it. So you're on Free Code Camp, and are you still in the first cat photo app building lesson?
Yeah.
Okay, and you're on step 11.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me go over there.
No, I think I'm on 12. I'm 12, sorry.
All right, you're good. Hold on, let me go over there and pull it open and help you out. I have to get there. Okay, I'm almost there. And we will help you solve that. Okay, here we go. There we go. Let me see. Number 12. Oh, I hated 12. Okay, let me. Before the anchor element and in our gallery after the anchor element. Let me. Okay, let me look at my own code and help you out. And while I'm doing that, if anyone else has any other thoughts or questions, go for it while I am looking at this code.
So until Laurel figures it out, I have a question on, say, for example, these open source software. When you port it to different devices, for example, you have now eSpeak ported to iOS as well, in addition to its previous Android uh, version. So, for example, let's take this example. My primary language in my country, which is used in eSpeak, has some faulty pronunciations, especially for numerals. So I fix it on GitHub and give them a pull request, and hopefully they adopt it. So how does this go to those other ported versions? Usually, how long does it take? What's the process? I would like to know that.
So when you submit a pull request, it is up to the person that approves the pull request on how long it's going to take. And of course, they're going to test it and do all these other things. The other thing that happens on GitHub is not with eSpeak. I'm just letting y'all know that. But some projects, they go dormant. And so some people will take over a project with their own fork of the project. For example, it was a very, very sad day when Microsoft decided to end of life Microsoft Soundscape.
Oh, I
But
remember this.
they put most of the source code on GitHub. So then we had two very popular ports that became very successful. We had the Soundscape Community Edition, and we have Voice Vista. And Voice Vista kind of became the popular one, but both of those were forks of the Soundscape repo. And so they don't need to worry about pull requests because they became the dominant versions of that application. But like you say, you're working on eSpeak and you're adding different dialects. You could even have your own fork be something that people can download, and therefore you don't have to worry about a pull request being a thing. But if you want it to be in the main version of eSpeak, then you would have to make sure that they accept the pull requests.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. The only thing is now, in at least in my country, the primary way in which e-speak is being used is through NVDA. So
Mhm.
NVDA would definitely not pull from my fork. So I have to pull it to the main eSpeak GitHub, and then at some point, if they oblige my request and approve those pronunciation changes, they would ship or they would package the newer NVIDIA version with that eSpeak version, and it goes out. But
Correct.
however, the Android and iOS ported versions, as I understand, are done by two different developers. And even for Android, I think there are several app developers distributing it. So in this case, how do we do it? In unlike in a full stack case, this is like each developer should fall in line with this particular speak version that we have the correction for this language. How do I
That,
do
that
that?
that's kind of one of those reach out. You'd have to reach out to each individual developer and make sure that they know that this is being released and that it's a thing. So that's kind of it kind of becomes messy there, right?
Not really
Open source.
standardized.
Open source is great, but it's not standardized. There is a lot
Right.
to it. Um, and not everybody else that is the it's decentralized, so not everybody follows the same guidelines and practices to
Yep.
do these things. So
Sure enough.
I'm about to help you out. Hold on, I'm still checking something real quick before I answer the question about step 11 or 12.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. Hmm? Yeah, I'm trying to
Also,
figure out where I'm supposed to put the words at.
Hang on, let me check this and see. Okay, good. Okay. I just put the answer in the chat. This is what it's wanting you to do. So you have to have a paragraph element that wraps the whole line, and you have to write see more before the anchor element starts, and after the anchor element is over, you have to write in our gallery and enclose the P element. And I copied and pasted the string of text that you need inside of the group chat. Taylor, do you want me to read the string of code so that those who are watching on YouTube would know?
Probably a good idea,
All right, give me 1 second.
Thank you for that.
if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem.
And by the way,
Let
we have
me
3
just
people watching right now, so.
let me get my screen reader to there. Where are you? Come on. Hang on 1 second. Let me
No problem. We don't have any
navigate over
chat
there.
messages. That's
Okay,
good.
so the question was on step number 12 of the Free Code Camp first lesson, the HTML responsive web design lesson in building a free cat photo app. The instructions were to write the words see more before the anchor element and the words in our gallery after it. And so the question was, how do we do that? And so the answer solution, and I'm going to read this character for character basically, is less than, lowercase p, greater than, which opens up the paragraph element, and then the words see space more space less than sign a, so you've opened the anchor element now, and you have a space with href equal sign quotation mark, and then you have the link that's https://freecatphotoapp.com. Hold on. I can talk quicker than I can navigate. Okay. Open quotation mark, greater than, cat space photo, photos, less than, slash, a greater than. So you're closing the anchor, space, in space, our space, gallery, dot, so period, less than, forward slash, p greater than. So you're closing the paragraph. That's what it gave me as the correct solution to that particular question. Let me know if that worked for you, and yeah. Feel free, whoever has something else they want to add, comment, or ask, to chip in, chime in. And I also, like I said, I threw the solution in the chat in Zoom. But Free Code Camp is telling me it's happy with that, so that's what I thought it was, but I wanted to run it myself and make sure before I told you, you know?
See, and like for when I came up to this one drove me a little bit nuts too. And I'm pretty sure I used an AI solution to get past it
Oh, I did
because
too. I did
because
too
I just
because
couldn't, there was nothing in what it was asking that I would have thought, oh, I need to put a paragraph in front of it
exactly,
and wrap it around
exactly that I had the
the A
same thing.
statement.
I had the same thing, and I definitely used GPT. I remembered this like when I first learned. I definitely used GPT to give me this piece of code, but then after I saw it, I was like, oh, of course I need a paragraph element because you're writing a line, right? Like a line of text, like see more and then the link in our gallery, right? And then
Right.
when I realized, well, like when I saw it this is one of those steps that once someone or once GPT taught me and I saw it like built, written out, I was like, oh, okay, of course I need a paragraph because, this link is nested inside of a sentence, see more link to the photos in our gallery, right? So like it was one of those like when I started trying to figure this out, it wasn't a natural like answer to me, but then when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And it's one of those that like I remembered every time ever after it when I needed to nest an anchor inside of text. I always remembered after that, oh, I need a paragraph element. Like it was one of those, like it took me forever to figure it out, and with AI's help, I did. But then I never had to wonder again because it made sense.
Right, right. And then when you get into some of because I'm more towards the middle of the lessons,
Yeah, she's
and
way far advanced in it.
yeah, and for some of them, I mean, you're just copying and pasting, and so much of the code inside different different elements.
Mm-hmm.
I think is the right way to say that. Am I saying that right?
I feel like you are.
Like I think one of them was a SAM or a scam or something like that. And that one drove me completely insane. And I was like, oh, so I have to essentially copy most of the code and wrap it inside of that. And it drove me nuts.
Oh man, I bet it did. But yeah,
Crazy.
so
Yeah.
hopefully that answers that question about number 12. And yeah, guys, like, just keep firing away with your.
No, it didn't go through.
No?
No.
Hold. Okay. Do you want to copy and paste what you had? Do you want to go into your text editor and hit select all and copy what you've got into the group chat and let somebody look at it?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I want to see, I want us to see what you've got then. If something's not right, I want to see what we've got.
And yeah, I'm wondering if it's where it's being placed that may be throwing the issue.
I
We
wonder
had
that
that
too.
last week.
I wonder that too, and but I think we can see that if you'll
Yeah.
go into your text editor and just do a select all and copy, paste it in the Zoom group chat and let Michael and Taylor look at it,
Okay. I'm about to
and
do
we'll get you unstuck. Sometimes
Yeah,
it
it'll
is
be
all
all right.
about where you place that line of text.
hmm
We'll
It'll
we'll,
be
we'll
all
get you
right.
unstuck.
Let's
Yeah, we got you.
share step 12.
But yeah, I think
Actually,
go ahead. Sorry.
when I had to do this step, I was actually doing this cat photo app just to refresh myself because okay, let's go for this and I'll then come back to my story. I think
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have shared the code, right?
I see it in the chat. Yeah.
Let's go for it. Let's go for it, and then I'll tell you the story later.
Ooh, maybe I might see it, but Michael, you might see the answer first. Let me look at this. All right, Sophia, let me look at this here. Wait, no, just kidding. Maybe I don't see it. Michael, what are your thoughts on?
So I'm looking at. So the whole point here is to put have an A tag, the anchor, right? And is it supposed to have cat photos as the text of the link, or is the whole text um supposed to be there? I'm not on the page currently, so I'm not exactly sure the instructions.
So the anchor element has the link
Mhm.
inside of it, and then the P paragraph element is supposed to encompass see more before
Mhm.
the anchor and in our gallery after.
That's what I'm seeing here.
Mm.
And the link text should be cat photos. Um, I'm
It's
looking for the
probably
error.
something tiny in here, and
Yeah, let's see.
um I'm gonna copy this over here to something else that I can attempt to figure this out.
Isn't it because of the spaces?
Oh, yeah, is it because of the space after more?
I think it is.
Put a
And
space after the word more and before the less
Oh
than sign.
yeah,
See if it'll take
yeah,
it.
put a space.
yep.
Yes,
The tags. You
after
need to
the word,
keep the spaces between tags.
yeah.
Because right now, the way that it would show up, if you were to read this, it would say "see more cat photos." Does that make
Yeah.
sense? It would have more and cat together without and not have a space there.
So put a space after the word more and before your less than and a, you know, anchor element starts and see if it
Mhm.
takes that.
Yeah, I did,
Sometimes,
and it didn't.
no? Okay, let me look and see if there's something else too.
Yep.
Hold on.
Let me see.
We're gonna solve this. We're gonna get this.
Let's take this
I
down.
do remember this step drove me insane too.
And there needs to be a space.
At the
Um,
end also, huh?
yeah, at the end of the at the end of the slash a greater than, there needs to be a space before in.
Yeah, that's true. There
In
needs to
our
be.
gallery, yeah.
I'm seeing it too. Put another space there and see if it, now see if it will take it now.
Okay.
So actually, this is where for me it came in handy because way back I had done HTML the hard, ugly way using Notepad. So therefore, the results to come up, you had to do everything just right, and
Mhm.
it was very frustrating. And because of this, we got this discipline kind of thing about using spaces and everything drilled into us. So
So
when I did my research, yeah, go
another
ahead, go
thing
ahead.
that you can do
Okay.
is you can take your code and put it in like you're saying notepad, and then open the file in File Explorer or whatever your operating system you're using, and it will open in your browser, and you can read by line and see if it reads correctly, and that would kind of give you a good indication too.
Okay. Well, I did the spaces before and after, and it still didn't go through.
Hmm.
Let
All
me see
right.
if I
Do
do it
you
like this.
do you wanna
Um,
copy what you've got now?
oh, yeah, hold on. I'm trying to, I think
I
I'm,
just put some in chat that worked.
Yeah, look at what Taylor's got in the chat and see if that works for you.
You don't need to read all that aloud because it's long. It's not.
Right. It's
it's
the whole
fine, it's
thing.
fine.
It might even be where your line of coding is in the entire
It needs to go
um
below, I think, the
look look and compare
texture.
your code to what Taylor just threw in the chat and let's see if that helps you. I remember that step. It was so annoying getting stuck on it. Oh my gosh. I think like for me, the thing I've had to learn about HTML is like even spaces or punct like spaces and capitalization matter, you know? Like sometimes if I've messed up, it's usually for me like a missed space somewhere or an extra space or something super tiny that I have to go character by character to figure out. But then once I fix it, it's so gratifying. It's like, oh, thank God.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna try it.
This gets even worse when you have those div tags and table layout tags. It becomes even messier.
Okay.
Man, I'm not gonna even lie to you guys. Like, when it gets real messy, I literally will stick my entire code, copy and paste into like GPT or Copilot or Gemini or Grok or somewhere and say, check this for me and tell me what's wrong and where.
Yep.
Because I don't have the patience. This is where like my personality comes in. I don't have the patience to sit there and just comb through it all perfectly. I won't lie. I'm
Well,
lazy.
the other thing is too, uh, free code camp wants you to be precise. but coding is never precise. I'm just being honest. Coding is never precise. Um, I worked. I'm not sure if you guys have. Has any of you guys heard of the app Way Around? It's a blindness
Yes.
app. They do labeling and things like that.
Hmm.
And and we were constantly writing new code and refactoring old code because you continuously have to improve on what you've written.
I
Yeah.
have a chat message when you guys are ready.
Go for it.
So yeah, Ornt in the chat says, I remember doing this assignment and it was very hard. And yeah, that was ChatGPT did not exist yet when he did this assignment. So
Hey, there you
yeah,
go. You had to do it the hard
that
way,
was a chat message.
the manual
And yeah,
way. Sophia, you're
I
not
just
alone in your struggle. You're not
no,
alone.
you're not. There's a big community of people, and that's no, this is why
Okay.
these things exist.
All right. I did exactly what Taylor had. So apparently the problem was right where the first after the paragraph, Seymour, then I have to put the space. And then I
Hmm.
have to put the space after the A and anchor in our gallery. Everything else stayed the same. So that's what really was up with the spaces.
Sometimes that'll get you, but it likes it
Yes,
now,
it
so
will.
you good now, you know.
Yep.
You're you're
And
set. But
it is definitely slightly maddening. Um, but it can be gotten past.
but
Hmm.
guys, like this is why I started this Zoom social every Tuesday because like I don't know about y'all, but for me, like I was gonna try to learn to code no matter what, but I thought, you know, a lot of people probably want to learn, but it's a lot harder on your own than in a community. And so, and I love the fact that like there's Techopolis and there's Bits and there's other resources too. But I thought, I'm not an expert. I can't teach coding, but I can provide a space for people to learn together. And so that's exactly why we're all here, is so that we can learn together. Now we've got our fearless leaders, Michael and Taylor. And but like when you're working through that tutorial and you got stuck somewhere, like that's the point of this little community is to all learn together and help meet people where they are and help us get over those humps that get us all hung up and stuck. I
Well,
Hmm.
mean,
the other issue is there's so many people that they get a little bit of they get that spark of curiosity, and
yeah,
then there's there's a lot of people that are so into coding that they can't see the beginner level of things anymore,
yeah,
and they can't see like how do you teach reasoning? How do you teach problem solving? Because part of writing code is to you're going to bang your head against the wall repeatedly until you get stuff
mm-hmm.
working. And how there are many a times, folks. I've been coding for 30 years, which is still weird for me to say
Oh my
because
gosh.
I don't feel 41 or however old I am. Um, but there are still times where even I will get stuck and the computer just won't do
Me
what
too.
I want it to do. And I sound like a angry video game person screaming at video games, but I'm screaming at my code because it just won't function the way that I want it to work. And this happens at all levels. And one of those things that we all have a hard time with is just saying, okay, let's put it down for a minute and come back with a fresh head where we're not frustrated. And sometimes talking to people like we're doing here, having that reinforcement. When I learned to code, guys, I had nobody.
I
It
didn't
was
either.
it was very frowned upon back in the 90s to be as into technology and computers as I was. And
Wait,
it
hold,
was
hold on one second. See you
sure.
later, Sophia, and thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next week. Sorry, Michael. She chatted that she had to go.
Oh,
Continue. I just didn't want her to be ignored or whatever.
oh,
So
for sure.
continue.
and and it's one of these things that there when I learned to code there was nobody, like it was very frowned upon. Everybody in small town Texas, because I'm
Hey
from
yo,
Southeast Texas,
let's go.
um and in Beaumont area, Texas, it was football or nothing.
Yeah.
um,
Man, even like 5 years ago when I started trying to learn this stuff, I didn't have anyone to ask either. I mean,
mhm,
like, I knew blind people that coded, like, I even knew who you were, and I knew who other, like, but like those people, I mean, nothing personal, no offense, but like, I was just a blind person starting out on Free Code Camp, and like, the people that really knew how were inaccessible to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was too shy. I was never gonna just like message a blind person that was a coding expert that I didn't personally know and go, help me. You know what I mean? Like,
and
and
let me tell you,
yeah.
uh, that I will tell you this: I've coded for 30 years, but I don't consider myself an expert because we're all still learning. We're all still improving.
Yeah.
I think once you say that you're an expert in something, then you've given up the learning process.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
yeah,
yeah, I'm glad we could help her with that. And
yeah,
like again, like that's why I made this space because I figured like I feel like one of the problems in our community and like I'm not by any means even an advanced coder, but I figure like I'm a problem solver, right? I'm a connector of people and things. It's what I do. So I
hmm
figured, man, one of the bigger problems is a lot of people that want to get started just need a space where they can come for free and ask either mentors or ask a community of problem solvers together to help them like get going, right? Like facilitate a,
right.
a beginning entry point and learning opportunity so that then people are emboldened to do things like Techopolis and bits and, jump in, right? So,
And
Shazam,
you know,
Shazah.
if you want a cool place to start learning to code, there is an easier way even than this to do that. And we all, if you have an iPhone, we all have it. It's called the Shortcuts app.
Oh, yeah? Wait, hold on. I know the Shortcuts app, but explain to me how that relates to coding.
Great question. So the
Because I know the
Shortcuts app.
Shortcuts app, but I have never used it to code that I know
So
of.
the Shortcuts app, think of it as pseudocode. You take blocks and you connect them together to serve a purpose. That
Oh
is
my
coding.
God. I've never thought of it that way.
So you can get shortcuts from the gallery, or you can create one. Um,
I think
and
it works best in automations, right? When you have to do
yeah,
an automation, you have
yeah,
these
you can do.
established blocks,
Mhm.
such as Bluetooth on and off. You can set conditions, and it's pretty much like coding.
Well, it's
You know,
more
I've
than
never
that.
thought of it that way. Oh my
It's
gosh.
more than that. So I can do a thing where I can go and I can run a shortcut, uh, and I can send an automation if I wanted to, but I don't even have to do that. I can send an automation that can ping my web server and tell me, "Hey, your server's online," or "Hey, your server's not online. You need to remote in and restart," and it can do all that for me
Oh my
from the
gosh.
Shortcuts app.
Oh my gosh.
Or I can use the share sheet on my iPhone, send audio, and convert audio to text
Oh
or
my
text
gosh.
to speech. I can send a shortcut. I could create a shortcut to go out and find the top 20 hits of the week and create a music playlist.
Okay, I didn't know that you could unleash the Shortcuts app to do all this kind of stuff. What kind of rabbit hole do I need to be deep diving down online to go learn? Oh my gosh.
There's a great
Actually,
book. Oh, go ahead.
Actually, this came up to me at the time. In my country, we can't use the full functionality of Meta glasses without a VPN.
Hmm.
So every time you turn on the glasses, you have to make sure you are on the VPN and in a US server.
Right.
So this is the place where I found this handy, the shortcuts. I mean, I have used shortcuts. I have created my own shortcuts before just to, make a quick call to my mom or whatever, very basic ones. But it was at this instance I found the real use where I could configure shortcuts or automations to turn on my VPN every time. My glasses, or not specific the glasses, but something connects to Bluetooth, and
Hmm.
turn it
What
off
in the
once it's
world?
off.
That is I'm not even gonna lie, guys. Like I had no idea I've never considered that you could do way more advanced stuff with the Shortcuts app like that. Like that blows my mind. I need to dive down that rabbit hole. Oh my gosh.
You could have your iPhone say, um, so one of my problems is without getting a dialogue, I always let my phone die of and because I never see low battery,
Right.
and because I don't use voiceover and I use magnification. So if I wanted to, I could create a shortcut that would say, "Hey, stupid, charge your phone. It's about to die,"
Oh, you
and
have
it
a
could
whole
say,
Shortcuts community, Taylor. Oh my
hmm,
gosh. I just
"What's
saw her
that?"
throw it in the chat that there's a whole Shortcuts community.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh. I'm stoked. This just makes my day.
Did she share it beyond the gallery?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah,
did.
that's the one.
So
I'm
that's a website I built, and there's even a mobile app.
what? I'm stoked. You've literally made my day. I had
I
no idea.
Yep,
So, so you call it beyond the gallery because the shortcut gallery and it has certain ones, and yours are beyond that gallery. Is that what you mean?
yep, exactly.
I'm
Okay,
gonna
cool.
after I'm done working today, I'm gonna deep dive down this rabbit hole. Oh my gosh.
And I'm
And
gonna send a
I'll add,
Discord invite too. So
Yes,
and
send
I'll
a
add
Discord
one
invite
twist
to
to
our
you.
server.
Sorry.
You know, I wonder, and this is just me brainstorming out loud, guys. So many of us have iPhones and iPads with the Shortcut app on it. Should we ever do a Learn to Code Tuesday and like deep dive into how to get the most out of that?
I'd love to.
Because
Yeah.
we all
On,
have a lot of us
Yes.
have that, and like you're rocking my world. I had no idea like that I've been missing out on this entire time. So maybe next Tuesday or one of these Tuesdays we can plan it out. You guys are my fearless leaders, Taylor and Michael. I'm just the facilitator, whatever you want. But what if one of these Tuesdays we, instead of focusing on free code camp, what if we taught people how to get more out of the Shortcuts app?
That would be
Because
great. And
even
and there's more.
I like to think I know what's going on. I had no idea that I could do more with that app. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like what you can do with the Shortcuts app is beyond what most people even think that you can do.
Why don't
A
we
lo-
need to deep dive into this and have it live streamed because oh my our community, I bet you most people have no idea and we should.
Mhm.
and let me add one more layer of craziness to this. Now with the newer iOS 18, you have this thing called vocal shortcuts.
Yeah.
That actually can, I mean, you can operate a shortcut without even touching your phone. Basically, you listen to it.
Or back tap.
No, not the back tab.
Yeah,
There's this
you could
thing
do
called
that
vocal
too.
shortcuts.
Yep,
Yeah, you can do that too. Yeah,
yep,
backtap is also possible.
yep.
So there, I have programmed several shortcuts, including some Siri and all that. Especially when I want to be able to take a photo with someone quickly, I have this shortcut planned so that in the same way I would say, let's take a picture. It will automatically open the camera by the time I hand it over to someone to take a picture, and I can say something to change my brightness level so that they could see even in the
Oh
broad daylight without touching the phone.
man.
So,
I created Apple created a shortcut called Say Cheese, and it will take a picture without even being in the camera app.
Right.
But I created one called Say Family. And what it does is it uses text to speech, and it you can set the interval, but you can make it count down so that you can position your camera and then go and get in the shot, and then it will take the picture.
Oh my god, that's brilliant. All right, we need to do this one of these Tuesdays and you guys can decide when and how, but we need to deep dive because I guarantee you most of the people that I know, and I don't know, maybe that you guys know too, have no idea that they can use the Shortcuts app to do so much more than what Apple advertises that you can, you know?
Right.
Oh my gosh. That's
and on YouTube,
awesome.
Taylor can put it up as a certain segment, which will get a real good viewer base as well. In addition to these regular ones, many people will look at, even sighted people look at it.
Yeah.
The Shortcuts app, what's incredible is like you're saying, it's kind of an unrealized gem on the iPhone. In fact, some people delete it.
Oh my
But you know,
gosh.
it's funny because
Really?
have y'all heard of the app Castro or Pocket Cast or any of these apps?
Somewhat. I'm not crazy familiar, but
So the way that they can import your podcasts from the Apple Podcasts app is they add a shortcut to your Shortcuts app.
oh my gosh, that's how they were doing it?
That's how they do it.
Okay, yeah, we gotta deep dive into this. We gotta teach our community, you
But
know.
I
that sounds very weird because for shortcut to run first time or to second times, you should allow it, right? Do they
You do,
get
but
you
you
to
just press a button. You
bypass it?
just press a button to allow it, and it's good. Another thing that I love my Echo speakers. They're great,
Me too! Oh my god, what are you
but
about to teach me? What are you about to teach?
but Audible. So the main reason why I use my Echo speakers, I listen to audiobooks at night,
Mm-hmm.
and so I just tell my Echo device play my book. You can do that with the Shortcuts app, and it will play your Audible book.
Nice.
You can do a lot of the same stuff that you do on Echo devices with Shortcuts, and you can even extend series capability with Shortcuts.
Oh
So,
yeah?
for example, my Meetings app, when you create a meeting, it adds it as a Shortcuts action. So
Nice.
I say I created a meeting um, in my Meetings app called Tuesday coding sessions, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can tell my phone, hey, S lady, join coding sessions, and it would run my app and join the meeting.
Whoa, that's cool.
And you can do that with, there's a lot of different apps with their own actions.
Yeah, we need to learn how to unleash this. That's revolutionary to me.
And this works on iPhone, iPad, and Mac, and Apple Watch.
I'm about to get a new Apple Watch, guys, so yeah, are you guys willing to deep dive into this one of these Tuesdays? Because I guarantee you, like, that's gonna unleash an entire new level of potential for our community for sure.
This is Michael's area for sure.
Oh my God, Michael. I had no idea.
Mm.
I've been ever since. So Shortcuts wasn't even Apple's app.
Oh
They
yeah?
bought it.
From
They
who?
bought it. It used to be called Workflow.
Oh,
That's interesting.
Hmm.
Oh my God.
Um,
Teach me how to code this stuff with shortcuts. Like I had no
I
idea.
have created so many bookmarks in this class.
and
Oh,
um,
then um, so here's the next level that people don't even. I don't even use this yet, but there are apps for iPhone, iPad, and Mac. One's called Pythonista, one's called Pyto, and one's called A Shell, and they all have shortcuts actions. So with the Python apps, you can run Python through a shortcut.
wow.
So you can take your coding knowledge and apply it to a shortcut.
Wow.
And the Shortcuts app already has where you can run JavaScript code.
Wow. Literally, I'm like mind blown. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We have to deep dive more into this and maybe whatever Tuesday you want, but I mean, I'm stoked that there's a lot more that I can get out of that app and I didn't even know, you know?
Right, right.
Michael, I don't know whether you remember when ChatGPT came at the very beginning, without the iPhone app and all. People put out videos saying you can extend your series capability with ChatGPT by grabbing the API key and put it in a shortcut that they pre-programmed and shared.
Hmm. Now,
So what
I
you had
want
to do?
something I want to let everybody know, because this is one of those little things that just drives me crazy. A lot of people think when you get an API key from OpenAI, you're not actually using ChatGPT anymore.
Right.
You're using what's called GPT, but it is not the same as ChatGPT.
Right.
Because ChatGPT, they give it specific prompts and do specific things to it, and put more guardrails on it. For
Right.
instance, we were building a chatbot on a website, and we were using GPT
Oh yeah, I remember
4.0
this.
or something.
Mini.
And I said, okay, so let's test this thing. And we were asking it very adult themed questions
Oh man.
Because we want to
just
make
for user
sure because it's going to be
testing.
used by children.
Right. If it's going to be used by children, we don't want it to. And the problem is, GPT will give you some very adult themed answers.
Yeah, and you don't want
Yeah.
that if kids are using that, you know?
Right. And so ChatGPT won't do that. And so we actually had to add some more parts to the API to get it to say, no, we won't give you that information.
Yeah, to be safe.
hmm
Yeah.
So what you're using when you're putting in that API key, because like Lisi and other applications let you do that, put in your own API key, it's not the same as ChatGPT, even though they say
No.
it is.
And I guess if you watch this stream, now you can go down whichever rabbit hole you want in either direction on
Right.
that, and that's all we'll. But yeah, like, I mean, that's important to know that so that if you're building a chatbot and you've got an API key or you're using an API key for something, you're, you know that, like, if you're making this for, if you're wanting to make something available to kids, you need to make sure it's safe, and you'd have to
Right.
put in extra things if you're just using the API, you know?
Right.
But man, we need to definitely deep dive into this shortcuts thing. Like, it blows my mind. So,
Thank you.
um, one of the things I
Uh,
use my Echo Dots for is turning on and off my lamp because I don't have
hmm
any more usable sight. So, like, I don't know if my lights are on. You're saying that I could even possibly through the um, Alexa app, I could build a shortcut that would maybe go and, or the smart app, the Casa
The
app,
shortcuts app,
I could literally build a shortcut that would, I could say to my phone, turn my lamp on, and it would
you can.
run me a
Yep.
shortcut and do it.
I have mine set up whenever I actually remember to plug in my smart home stuff. I have it set up at sundown. It turns on my lights.
Man, all right. If we deep dive into this, seriously, I want you to help me understand how to make that happen because I would love to be able to extend that capability to my phone, so like I could even turn on and off my lights without even having to be in speaking range of my device.
hmm
Oh my
And
gosh.
and there's automations you can do. Um, you can do webhooks. So there's an app called Pushcut, which will send you push
No, what is a
notifications.
webhook? I don't know if I understand what you're saying
Ah,
there.
so a
Sorry.
webhook is, think of it as, you go to a URL, and or a URL, like a web address is entered and a thing happens.
Right?
So Discord has webhooks for different actions. When um, you do things with like Stripe or payments, webhooks
Okay.
happen to cause automations to run.
Okay,
Um,
okay. I got you
yeah.
now. I wanted to make sure I understood what you
Mhm.
were saying. Continue. Keep going.
So you could do things with webhooks. You could do things with different APIs. So you can have shortcuts run on your phone when certain things happen. And then there's services like IFTTT, if this then that, that can extend that even further.
Oh my gosh.
When things happen on your phone, do this, or when things happen somewhere else, do that.
Man, that's so
So
cool.
the possibilities are so limitless, and sometimes it's just knowing what's possible to say, okay, what do I want to do? Because part of it is, what is helpful, what is not helpful,
Right.
what would take more time to automate than to actually do something. But it's fun. It's fun to play with all of this
Oh, for
stuff.
sure. And like the answers will depend on the person too. But
hmm
like to even know, like I said, when I'm done with work today, I'm going down a deep hole, a deep rabbit hole. Because I didn't know, like, you don't know what you don't know, right? And if your coding knowledge, like mine, up until recently when I found Techopolis and Bits through starting this free code camp, I kind of learned to code Tuesday. Um, all my coding knowledge and everything's been just what I've learned from self-teaching or stumbled on the internet to find. Man, so it's like you don't know what you don't know, right? Like you know some
Right.
things decently well, and then there's like holes missing, like this. Like I had no idea that I could get way more out of shortcuts than I was getting ever. And so then when I get this little kernel, it's like you're exactly right. Half the battle or more is knowing what's possible, and when you know that, you can all of a sudden unleash so much more potential, whether it's through someone teaching you or through deep diving yourself, because you're like, whoa, wow, okay, I can, oh my gosh, I can do this,
Hey,
you
hey
know?
Taylor, should I tell her about Automator on the Mac?
Please do, because that's another thing I'd like to learn more about, you know?
So Automator on the Mac is a program that can be used to do it was on the Mac before shortcuts was a thing.
Right? I've used it
And
with
you
some stuff, but I guarantee I don't know how to make the most out of it.
so Bits is doing a class for HTML,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so Jeff made this wonderful class installer for Windows, but we didn't have something for Mac. And so I said, well, we need something that can install all this very similar stuff without having to have a full app.
Right?
So I created there you can open Automator and give it different actions similar to shortcuts, but what it can do that shortcuts can't do yet is run terminal commands.
Okay.
So I wrote an Automator script that would run all these commands in the terminal, and then I packaged it up using Automator for free and built an app. So anybody could just download this package, and it does all of the things that you would need it to do without having to have to install anything.
Oh my
And
gosh.
and so Automator is a Mac app to make other automation apps.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, someday
And
we're
But
gonna have to
Michael,
learn that too.
Michael, that sounds a little dangerous as well because um, Mac was known to be relatively more impregnable in terms of viruses worming into it and so on. But
well,
imagine,
let me tell you, you could sign your applications if you're an Apple developer, but
Mhm.
it's hard to do. And even whenever I gave that, I thought I signed it, but I gave it out, and Apple says you can't open this application because it's not from a known publisher. There's ways
publisher,
around
okay.
that. There's ways around that, but you have to explain to the user how to do that. So it's
Yeah.
not a problem because the Mac will not let you open it. But the fact that you can do it is where it's really cool.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Um, man, I'm
So I
like
was just
just sitting
thinking
here just
someone
so excited.
disguising and package something like that and sending it to a user so that they don't even know that their terminals are executing commands and
Hmm.
doing something else.
Well, yeah, because I was using rclone, downloading rclone from Homebrew, and cloning the bits class folder. And if you could do that, they could do anything.
Are we gonna talk about this in the Mac terminal class?
We are going to talk about some of this stuff.
Oh,
Not
good.
We're not going to go into full detail about Automator and that kind of
Sure, but
stuff.
like, I mean, we'll touch on it, right?
Yeah,
Because I want to
we
learn
will touch
enough.
on it.
I just want to learn enough that like then I'll know how to teach myself. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I want to get far enough along in understanding how Automator works with Terminal that I could then, on my own make the most out of learning more and using Automator. So,
Now, what I
and
think is going to happen is they're going to roll all the features of Automator into the Shortcuts app. So it will be
okay.
all in one place, which will be very nice. We're thinking that Automator is going to be discontinued in the next year or two.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that too. But whenever we do that Mac terminal class, if you can at least touch enough on it so that somebody would know like how, how
Yep.
to
And I think we've got two or
yeah.
three lessons left in that class.
Yeah, buddy. I'm so excited.
We've done the first three
I'm
weeks of that already. So
I'm like
Yeah.
I'm all into this and Man, I'm just like beyond stoked, and it's funny, I'm thinking about the shortcuts again, and I'm about to get myself an Apple Watch, and I'm now thinking about all the things I could probably get my watch to do for me that I didn't know about. And I'm just
Roller,
like,
you might consider waiting on the Apple Watch. I saw something today that the whatever the series that comes after this is gonna have a built-in camera or something.
really?
Yeah, there's talk
Yeah.
about that. I don't, I tell people don't wait for rumors because we don't know.
Well, we also don't
Um,
know the price point that's coming up either, so it's
mhm.
like,
Oh, that's
yeah.
true.
I don't know if I want to
I
pay crazy extra for that when I've got my metas, you know?
I tell people don't pay for rumors, because in Apple world they could, and I have a one I take pleasure in seeing when the rumor people are wrong, because
Yeah.
I remember an Apple where nothing could be predicted, and I miss those days, and so I love to see when the people doing the rumors get it wrong.
I don't know. I feel like for
Yeah,
me,
especially
like
Bloomberg.
I know, right? I feel like for me though, like if they want to sell me a watch for like $600 or like I'm just picking a number, right?
hmm
And the basic selling point, the new version over the current 10 would be, oh, it's got a camera. I feel like I'm like, because I mean, I don't know. I have my metas that, I mean, maybe the camera would be better, sure, but like, I don't know. I'd rather have an extra camera on my face than, on
Right.
my wrist.
And
So,
I like the metas. I'm waiting for the Vision Pro to get the features I want. I know it's a lot more money, but I think that they could really unlock low vision users with magnification with the Vision Pro. Um, I invested in it. I paid $4,000 for it, and they have not disappointed,
man.
with what they've done so far.
Haven't they
Uh,
discontinued it?
no, that's a big misconception. A lot of websites say that they are, but no, it's still
Okay.
for sale.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
No, I checked
And
one out when I was in New York, but I
they
wasn't.
just added Apple Intelligence to it.
That's awesome.
Oh, and I recently saw that some person has created an indoor navigation app that uses the camera of the Vision Pro, so that
Yeah, it's not out yet.
you,
I wish it
yeah.
was.
I'm sure when it comes out, you're going to tell us about it, aren't you?
Oh yes. And I'm now that somebody has proven the concept, I may make one.
There you go.
Yeah, it will be easy. I think it will not be as hard on as long as you have a device to try it on.
Well,
Yeah.
The Vision Pro does not give the app permission to look at the camera for privacy
Oh,
reasons.
oh,
They could do that, but they won't. Now,
oh.
what they do give the app, though, and this is very interesting, is they give you access to data. So the app can see, hey, there's a table there. Hey, there's a wall there. So all
Hmm.
those things are visible to the app, but they just can't say what each thing is. They can't do identification. They only get wireframes.
Mm-hmm.
So can't you piggyback into that stream and get that data to your app or
Absolutely,
something?
absolutely. Yeah,
No, that's cool.
that's how that app is doing it. They're getting that data from the Vision Pro.
Hmm.
That's so interesting to me.
And
I don't think I'm going to ever get one yet, but man, it's interesting to hear someone talk about the Vision Pro because I haven't heard someone in our visually impaired, and blind space talk about it much. So,
Well, I will be bringing mine to ACB. National is in Dallas this year. I will be bringing mine to National.
oh, sweet. We need to meet up. If I'm in town, because I live in Dallas, if I'm in town, let's
Oh,
meet up.
cool.
I want to definitely meet.
the, it is this I will be there from the 2nd to the 12th, and the exhibit hall will have a bunch of tech and things for the blind. It's a great now. I if I were you, I would make sure you have it on your calendar so you can make sure you're there
As long as
because
I'll put it this way, as long as I'm in country and not gone
yeah.
out of the country, I'm gonna come.
Oh
Because it's
yeah.
in my backyard. So,
Yep.
Absolutely. I'm stoked about that. Man, this has been so fun, and like I'm just so excited about all the things we're going to be learning from you soon. And
Uh, Michael, since you have cross-platform experience, uh, how do you compare automation on Mac with cron jobs on Linux?
So believe it or not, Mac has cron jobs too. You have cron on Mac OS. Um, and there's the Windows scheduler in Windows. So all of the things still work on Mac compared to Linux. But there are other ways of doing that too on Mac, but they still basically use cron, and from my understanding and things like that. Um, so you could use a lot of the same things. Uh, I think they work about just the same. You can't really run anything under root on Mac, which you can on Linux, which is not a good idea on Linux, so don't do it. Um, but yeah, you can do a lot of the same stuff.
We have a raised hand. Francois has his hand up.
go
Oh,
for it.
sorry.
Yeah.
Go for it, Francois.
Maybe
can
that was
unmute.
accidental, but yeah.
If you want to say something, just unmute yourself and go for it. And if not, that's okay. No problem. But you can if you want to. Okay, I have a dumb. I guess, Francois, feel free if you have a question, just unmute yourself and interrupt us. I have maybe possibly a dumb question, but one I've thought about and never found an answer to, other than maybe AI. This is a coding question, and I don't care if I sound dumb. I'll ask it anyway. If I so I'm not an expert on like C++ or Python or the advanced coding languages, because well, I'm just not. If I'm ever looking at something in GitHub, Michael and Taylor, and I ever want to find out which language it's being written in, aside from me just copying and pasting code into GPT or like Copilot or some, AI and asking it, is there an are there like different things I can look for in the coding structure to identify the coding language if I'm not well versed in all of them, but if I'm looking at like the source code for something open source and I'm trying to figure out what it's being written in?
So
I don't know if
there
that's a
are
stupid question or not. It might be, but
no.
I've
There's
always
no stupid
wondered.
questions.
I've always wondered if there's like some telltale signs or syntaxing or something I could look for to try and identify what coding language I'm looking at. Because I'll freely admit, like, I don't always know. And I sometimes struggle to figure out if I want to learn,
So
or deep dive or try to figure
yeah.
something out. I don't always know how to determine what I'm looking at.
So here's an easy one, and I'm wondering, Taylor, if this crossed your mind or if this is what you would have said. Um, the easiest way is when you're looking at a repo and you're seeing files in the repo in the
Mm
repository.
hmm. Mm hmm.
The file extensions give it away.
Oh, you know what? I never thought about that.
Yep, file extensions. So if you see .py, it's going to be Python,
Yep.
right?
Okay.
Yep.
If you see JS, it's going to be JavaScript.
Yep.
If you
Okay.
see .ts, it's TypeScript. Um,
Oh, that's what that
dot,
means.
Swift, obviously
Yeah,
Swift.
yeah.
If it's uh, now you may see things like EJX or JSX, and
I have.
those
Example
are
languages.
React or templating languages.
Okay.
Um, so those aren't exactly the same as programming code, but they're still JavaScript related most of
Sure.
the time. SQL is SQL.
Database.
Yep, database
Okay,
stuff.
yep, yep.
If you see .c, that is going to be C.
Okay,
CPP is C++.
okay.
If you see, uh, I don't know what Rust files end with,
I don't know.
uh, but I'm guessing Go, that language has .go, but I don't know. Um,
So it's all in the file extension. So if I'm
yep,
looking at a file and I don't even know what it is, I could even prompt GPT and ask it, like, what is this file extension? And I'd have my answer right
exactly.
there.
Hmm.
Yep, that's the easiest way to understand. Also in
Yep,
GitHub it will say like 30% Swift, 50% Python. There it has like the languages that the repo uses.
yep.
Okay, okay. And I haven't, well, that I know of, I haven't seen more than one. How often are you going to see, like, for example, Python and something else in the same file? Or do I ever need to worry about trying to differentiate
So
between that
you
within the
will,
same? Okay.
you will.
So when you're
Mainly,
looking at it side by side, what's the easiest way, or is there one, to figure out what you're looking at?
so for example, the most often that you're going to see this is JavaScript and HTML, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I have seen that a ton.
So you will see um, script tags in an HTML file with JavaScript in them.
Okay.
Or you'll see a JavaScript file with HTML in it.
Mm-hmm.
Another example is .php is PHP files,
Okay.
and you will see HTML in PHP files. Now, I say this in honesty, not to hurt anybody's feelings here or on stream.
Sure.
Technically, HTML is not programming.
Technically, yeah.
There are people that argue otherwise, but it is technically not programming because in HTML, you're not actually writing anything to tell the computer what to do. HTML is a way to mark up a document.
Right.
It
Right.
is a way to say this is how this text should look.
Mm-hmm.
But it's when you add CSS and JavaScript to HTML that we add the programming aspects.
Yeah. Oh no, that makes sense to me.
Hmm.
That's actually fascinating because I've been like sometimes, because again, I am very new to doing this, and sometimes I'll just go off on a tangent and I'm like, you know what, I'm not quite sure what that element means.
Hmm.
So I'll throw it into, Google or whatever. And next thing you know, I'm down a completely different rabbit hole looking at the 10,005 ways to do things.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is the most overwhelming because I'm like,
right.
okay, well, what's the right way to do it?
You want to know the secret?
Sure.
There is not. There's no right way.
Thanks.
The
I'm,
only wrong way to do something is that it doesn't work at
I figure
all.
it's probably about like when you're speaking in a foreign language, there's more than one way to express the same idea depending on what you know,
Right.
you know?
Well, I mean, you could do that in English.
Yeah, you
I
can.
could express something in a very complex, very, um, very intricate way. I could be very, I could be a wordsmith and really polish off how I'm trying to get this idea out. Or
Right, or
I
you
could
can
just
just
be
say
like,
it.
or you could just say it and just
Yeah.
say, hey, do this, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, People do that all the time. Uh, and in programming, for example, uh, some people like to some people like job security. So they'll give variables like they'll put a instead of saying um, a very well we haven't gotten to variables, but a variable is basically a way to hold a piece of data
Mm-hmm.
or text or anything. And so I could say, I could name the variable something descriptive like first name is the variable name, and it would hold
Right.
the person's first name.
Right.
But I could also use the letter A to represent first name and the letter B to represent last name.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's gonna know what that means.
Except for you. That's how come developers, I mean, I've heard so many people end up keeping their jobs just because the company can't replace them because nobody else knows what they did.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, job
So
security.
yeah, yeah, and it's terrible because to replace the person to rewrite all the code would take more time than it would be just to keep them on and just have a disgruntled employee. So I
I
bet you
guess
guys
keep
have
your
learned more
coders
about.
happy because an unhappy coder can really screw you over.
I bet you guys have learned more about coding in these last 2 hours than you ever thought.
No, I'm so enjoying this, and like honestly, like I think it's so good. I think for our community to have a space where we can come learn from like people like you and Taylor, and whether it's free code camp or whether we go off on a tangent like shortcuts or whatever else, like because this is the kind of stuff that makes me like, oh dude, I'm gonna go through all the bits in Techopolis courses and keep deep diving and keep like it's the kind of stuff that just motivates you to keep on going, right? Like when you know that, like for me personally anyway, when I know that my effort to learn coding, first of all, that I can, and secondly, that I now have all of these resources that I, before I ever started this space didn't know about, and third, that I have a space I can go to where if I want to talk about something or ask questions, I can. Like it motivates in a life where like I've got 1,000 other things going on. It motivates me to you know, keep doing and keep going because there's a space in my life to learn and to grow and learn more than I ever thought I could learn, and it's just satisfying in a way. It's
Well,
very
and
gratifying.
and you'll see a lot of people that tell you this is the way you should do things. We see that a lot with accessibility, right?
Oh
We
yeah,
see
that
a lot
drives
of
me
people,
crazy.
yes, we see a lot of people say to developers, you must do it this way. And in fact, I make a lot of accessibility specialists mad because I always say you should not audit and evaluate a mobile app the same way you do a desktop app or
No
web
joke.
page.
Listen, I used to do accessibility auditing for a living, and I hated it. But that's a whole nother story because nobody cared about my work. Like the university I worked for did not do anything with my work. I felt like I was bashing my head against a wall every day. But I've never had any formal training, right? I did it as a student and then I did it afterwards as an employee, et cetera, et cetera. And so I, but I thought like you, I'm like, man, okay, I have no professional training in how to audit. I have my own lived experience, which tells me you don't audit a website the same way you audit a mobile app, the same way you audit an employee facing system. Like, there has to be flexibility, I thought. I've always thought. And so I don't know. But I'm with you.
Well, I mean, I do this as my day job. In fact, while you guys were talking and doing things, I'm doing my day job, right?
Yeah,
And I work doing accessibility. I won't talk about that on where I work on
sure,
screen,
sure.
but I do it for a big, you know, group, and we all kind of have the same views, but I hear other people that are accessibility specialists in the space, and they say, you should do this, you should do that. And I'm like, no, I don't think you should.
Well, to me, there's always been more than one way to get something done, and
Hmm.
I think I'd be willing to go back into accessibility auditing if I had a better. I'm a very results person. I want my work to mean something, and
Right.
so I don't know. Like, so, kudos to people who thrive on it. I didn't quite thrive on it, but it's fine. We
The
all
way I
have
look
days.
at it is this. The way I look at it is this. If I get paid to fight the accessibility war, and whether what I do means something or not, great. I could come home at the end of the day and I could make my contributions as a coder,
Yeah,
as somebody that makes these things and helps to set policy and things
right.
like that. That's where it's important. That doesn't always pay the bills, but you know, that's the way I
Yeah.
look at it.
Oh yeah. Well, in my case, I was not being paid well at all, and
Oof.
I was not. I didn't have the coding knowledge to even fix anything, so I was just the. I was the person that just said, "Hey, it's not right," and that they could say, "Oh, legally, we have someone working to help us fix it." Like, yeah. So No, I think you're right. Like I think if I had had more knowledge, and I think if I had been possibly paid better, then maybe it would have been a little bit more rewarding. But we all got to wear our hats, right? And I'm wearing about half a dozen others. So I
I
mean,
would love to hear about like what does your foundation do other, we do the coding thing, but what else do you guys do? I think that'd be good for people on the stream to hear.
so we started. I'll give you a quick rundown. We started in 2017. For background, I got my undergrad in Russian studies at the University of Oklahoma, and I worked in Oklahoma for several more years before moving to Helsinki, Finland, where I did graduate studies um, at the University of Helsinki in Russian studies. So by trade, I'm a linguist, okay? I speak English, Finnish, Russian, French, Spanish, some Arabic, and a
Wow.
few other languages too. I'm a linguist. So I'm also certified to teach English as a second language, and I've volunteer taught English for 18 years online, and I teach Russian to people. I teach Finnish when I can to people. Like, I thrive on language instruction and teaching and learning,
Hmm.
right? And so um, I started the foundation in 2017 because I knew some people in. So I had the opportunity to go to the first World Congress for people with disabilities in Russia. And I knew some blind people in Russia that had studied abroad in America, and they were students and employees in Moscow. I don't want to name them because right now in Russia, if you have foreign contacts, that can be like super dangerous. So,
Right,
without getting
right.
too into it, I saw an opportunity, okay? And look, I apolitically, I am not here to promote Russia or to promote Ukraine. All I'm going to say is I'm here to help people, and I've helped people on both sides because everybody is
Hmm.
suffering and it is a
People are
crap show.
people. People
Blind
are
people are
people, and
blind people, and blind people
yep.
are suffering everywhere, and I will help people in any place I can. And you know what I mean? I have my own
Yes.
political opinions, but I try to
Yep.
keep that out of my foundation work because
Right.
it doesn't matter what side you're on if you're suffering, you know?
Right.
So, but the history of the foundation is the history, right? So, I first worked in Russia and also Georgia and Armenia in the former Soviet states, and I took braille displays, computers, iPhones, white canes, and other supplies over there in 2017 and 2018 and distributed it all over Russia to various groups. And I also presented at various places. Like I said, I don't want to name who I worked with because I don't want them to have blowback. Um, and then I began basing out of Helsinki, Finland in 2019 because it was easier for me to bring volunteers from America visa free there. And at the time, you could get from Eastern Europe via the trains through Moscow and St. Petersburg to Helsinki. So I was able to get a lot of supplies into Eastern Europe, not just Russia, but Belarus and Ukraine that way. And in 2020, obviously the pandemic slowed us down, but I moved to Finland in 2020. And so really then we worked online as we had the ability to order things in country and have them sent to people. My language skills helped us out there. The next biggest, I guess, evolution that pushed our foundation forward was the war in Ukraine. Um, we have a good friend, Olga, and her husband, Anthony. Olga was a foreign exchange student that lived with my family 20 years ago, and she's married and lives in Australia now, but she's from Eastern Ukraine. And she was basing out of Warsaw, Poland, and helping blind and visually impaired refugees as they fled out of Ukraine. So I took 3 trips to Poland from Finland, and I brought my mom over once, and she's a retired TVI teacher for the visually impaired. And we raised $40,000 and donated probably $100,000 market value worth of supplies to people that were fleeing out of Ukraine. And even some groups of students that were at some schools in Poland for people with disabilities. It's a much longer story, but we worked helping that group of people through that chaotic period in 2020, whatever year it was, 22. I don't even remember. 22 to 2000,
Wow.
early 2022. Um, we did everything from taking magnifiers and CCTVs to some schools that were housing these people to sending computers and smartphones to refugees that were now in Germany and Sweden. Because if you think about it, a lot of them had desktop devices that got left
Hmm.
in Ukraine. Well, how are you going to fill out paperwork to become a legal refugee in the EU if you have no way of doing that? You
Right.
know? So from there, we in 2023 got invited to work in Romania. So we took a trip and did the same kind of thing in Romania, taking technology and supplies there, um, and working with the blind community there to distribute devices to people that needed them. And so subsequently, we started working because, like, in the United States, again, apolitically, my observation has been that since the pandemic has started and ended, uh, post-pandemic, services did not return to their pre-pandemic quality of level. Right when I came back to the United States in August of 2022, I, to go on a tangent, I lost the rest of my usable sight in 2020, right before the pandemic. I've always read Braille, but I had some usable vision. And I
Hmm.
have never been able to get the support and help I needed in the United States. I have no shame admitting I am still struggling with my sight loss. I'm not it's not always easy for me. And
Right.
yeah, I know all the blindness skills, right? But like I don't care what you know or don't know. If you lose some of your residual sight, like coping with that and adjusting, if you don't have the support you need, well, it's going to be hard, even if you practically know all the stuff, right? So I realized that in the United States, and again, this is not a left versus right comment. This is born out of my observation and also like my having lived abroad and seeing how things worked in Finland, right? Like in the Nordics, right? I thought, okay, we're struggling here. And so our foundation has sought to broaden who we serve and how we go about it. So we now serve blind people here in America and continue to serve abroad. We're planning on going to Tonga in the South Pacific this year and also the Caribbean. And I'm happy to coordinate sending supplies abroad to other countries and other organizations as well if people want to reach out. I've sent supplies to Uganda and Vietnam without ever having gone there through partners. Um, but, we realize so our main mission of the foundation is to provide technology, resources, and opportunities to the blind and visually impaired worldwide, which is a
Hmm.
very broad mission, but it also makes it where we're flexible and can adapt. And I'm not blaming any of the bigger blindness organizations that have set things that they do and don't do. Like, I get it. You got to have that, right? Like, I get it. But we want to adapt and meet the needs of the community as they change. So we're doing everything now from donated technology drives, looking for school districts and entities that would want to donate old Braille printers and old, Braille displays and technology that they can't use anymore or don't have a use for that we can repurpose. We're doing everything from that to I'm starting a podcast and then we're doing these Zoom socials, and I'm hoping that we'll even broaden our topics. I'm hoping to do English as a second language for blind people because a lot of the curricula out there is not accessible. I'm hoping to do even practical things like, crafting and hobbies, like, things that will enrich the lives of our community.
Right.
And we're doing things like starting blind sporting initiatives because one of my passions is sports. And in Finland, I learned how to play blind hockey, but I don't have that opportunity here where I live. So we're working with a baseball team to start baseball, and I'm hoping to do other sports as well here in the area. And so we kind of we've positioned ourselves to where we can work doing a lot of different things. And it might sound like, oh, well, you're biting off more than you can chew. But really, we are selective. We work with a lot of partners and with a lot of different people. We can only do so much as we have in partners and volunteers and funding, obviously, but we want to be flexible to meet the needs of the community. So
Right.
that's us in a
Well,
nutshell.
we should all have a more of a candid conversation, off stream at some point where,
Oh, we
you
we
know, we,
can.
we where we can talk about and discuss some more of this stuff. But it's very interesting because uh, I think that your foundation has so much. You guys have already done a lot, and I think that there's so many people that can benefit from knowing about you guys, and um, it's how many people do you have working for your foundation?
I'm the only one who is working paid. Now
Wow.
we have other volunteers,
Hmm.
but I'm it. And I
Wow.
work anywhere between 40 and 60 hours a week, and I wear half a dozen hats. Do I
I
do
can
all of it
imagine.
well? No. That's why, like, I didn't see your WhatsApp message, because just slipped through the cracks. But hey, yeah, like after we end this stream and before we all have to go, we should at least get it on calendar when we want to have a meeting, because we absolutely should. Because I want to talk to you about everything from revamping our website and helping me to, you know, all the way down to making this time and space the best that we can. But
Hmm.
so I am, um, I mean, my parents are on the board, and we have other people on the board as well that volunteer their time when they can and in the capacity they can. Probably my mom volunteers the most of her time. She's a retired TVI, so she's got that whole angle, right? But it's basically me. And so the more support and partnerships I can develop and the more things I can delegate, then the better we do. Because, I mean, I can't be all things to all people, and I'll admit we don't there's still a lot of room to improve in the quality of what we're doing, especially here in the United States. And so, but there's one of me, right? Like I
Yeah, oh,
can't,
yeah.
I can't do everything I want to do.
Well, and
I'll
it kind
see
of
you
comes
later,
back.
Jackie.
Oh, sorry.
But
Go ahead.
sorry, but I was just saying. So yeah, so we're actually gonna do we're in the middle of a grant workshop to learn how to seek out more grant money and more donor support and stuff. Because if we can get hold of better financial backing and support, then we can hire more staff and hire out more services done by other people, which frees me up to do more. But right now, I'm the paid, I'm the only one. So I'm it.
Well, one
But
of the things that and I think there's some strategy and some things that we can look at for both of us. But
yes.
and if
Let me stop
people
the stream real quick.
Yeah,
hang on
hey,
just a second before you stop the stream, Taylor, I just want to mention if people are interested, we do have our Techopolis Discord where people can talk and gather and chat. So everybody that's been here during that comes to any of these meetings is always welcome to join. And also anybody we do programming questions, people can just ask general tech and all of that stuff. So we have 156 people over there, so let's
let's
build it
grow it.
up.
Let's
Yeah,
grow it. And I also want to mention again, if you guys want to learn more about the foundation that I run, the Laurel Wheeler Foundation, it's laurelwheelerfoundation.org. My name is spelled LaurelWheeler, the word foundation.org. And if you're from, again, I've said it a couple times, but just bears mentioning again, if you're from outside the United States and you want to subscribe to Techopolis's all access courses and $25 American a year with a coupon code or 50 is a barrier for you, reach out to me at laurelwheelerfoundation@gmail.com and our foundation will help sponsor your participation in Techopolis. So do that because we want to eliminate that barrier. So,
man, we're gonna have a lot more courses to come this year.
yes. And we
In
want, we
fact, one
want
on
I want to encourage people, even internationally, to participate in what you're offering. And I hope that even someday maybe we can partner together to make it available in more languages, because that's my jam. But
absolutely.
um, I want to make
Absolutely.
sure that our foundation supports Techopolis in eliminating any of those financial barriers. Because I know that, like, for an American, $25 or 50, 25 if you use the coupon code right now. Isn't a huge barrier, but in other countries it may be. So I want to eliminate that barrier for people so that they can take part in what you're doing.
And if you think about it, LinkedIn Learning is $40 a month, and it's not geared towards everyone like it used to be. They used to have great teachers that would explain exactly what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Now not so much. uh Click here, do this, do that, and they're pointing on the screen.
Yeah.
We make we have courses tailored for everybody. So some of our courses may be without a screen reader on. Some of them may be because we want to really cater to everyone. Um, I
Absolutely.
I feel like that's very important because there are so many people in the world that could benefit from what we have, and I feel like programming is not something that is for the elite.
Right.
Programming is for everyone.
Exactly. I feel like everyone, especially I feel like every blind person should at least have a basic understanding of coding. And yeah, I'm just excited about helping be part of making this opportunity available to people. I think it's great.
Mhm.
So join us again next Tuesday, guys.
All right. Should I?
You want to? Now it's good, Taylor.
Yeah,
Okay. I didn't want to cut anybody off, but
No,
you're
you're
good.
fine.
And then before we all go, let's at least get a meeting scheduled on the calendar. I feel like we can do that before we
Let me know when
go.
you're down, Taylor.